The notification came through while I was having breakfast at a cafe in Charleston, where I'd been visiting my college roommate for the week. A simple Instagram post from my daughter-in-law, Jennifer. The caption read, "Mother-in-law's room renovation turned out perfect." I tapped the image, expecting to see new curtains or maybe a fresh coat of paint. Instead, what I saw made my coffee cup slip from my fingers and shatter across the marble floor. Metal bars, prison-grade bars installed across my bedroom window, the window that overlooked the garden I'd planted 20 years ago, the window where I used to sit and read every Sunday morning. My name is Catherine. I'm 56 years old, a recently retired high school English teacher from Boston, and until that moment in that Charleston cafe, I thought I understood my life. I thought I knew my son. What I didn't know was that in the 5 days I'd been gone, my own family had transformed my sanctuary into a cage, and by the time I boarded the emergency flight home 3 hours later, I would discover that the bars on my window were just the beginning of a nightmare so calculated, so methodical, that it would make me question everything I thought I knew about the people I loved most. Before I tell you what I found when I got home, I need you to understand something about how stories like this get told. The algorithm decides who gets to see the ending based on one thing: engagement. If you're not subscribed, if you don't leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, there's a real chance you'll lose this story right before the biggest revelation. And trust me, what I discovered in that locked room, what my son and his wife had planned for me, it's the kind of truth that stays with you. So subscribe right now. Comment your city below. Because the next 24 hours of my life, you won't believe them even when I tell you. The flight from Charleston to Boston felt like drowning in slow motion. I kept refreshing Jennifer's Instagram, studying that photo like it might reveal some rational explanation. The bars were thick, industrial, professional installation. This wasn't some impulsive decision. Someone had measured, ordered, scheduled contractors. Someone had planned this while smiling at me across the dinner table, while hugging me goodbye at the airport. I called my son, Michael, 17 times. Every call went straight to voicemail. I called Jennifer. Voicemail. I even called my neighbor, Dorothy, who'd lived next door for 15 years. She picked up on the first ring. "Catherine, how's Charleston?" "Dorothy, have you seen anyone at my house? Contractors? Anyone installing anything?" A pause. Too long. "Well, yes, actually. Michael said you'd approved some safety upgrades. After that fall you had..." "What fall?" "The one last month? When you hit your head. Michael said you'd been having some memory issues, sweetie. That's why they were adding the safety features." I hadn't fallen, hadn't hit my head. My memory was perfectly intact. I could recite Chaucer from memory, could tell you the name of every student I'd taught in 30 years. But Dorothy's voice had that careful, pitying tone people use when they think you're fragile. "Dorothy, I need you to do something for me. I need you to go look at my house right now and tell me exactly what you see." "Oh, honey, I don't think I should." "Please." Another pause. Then, "I'll call you back." The plane couldn't land fast enough. I sat in seat 14C, my hands shaking so badly I had to fold them in my lap. The woman next to me asked if I was afraid of flying. I almost laughed. Fear of flying seemed quaint compared to what was crawling up my spine. The cold, creeping realization that something was very, very wrong. Dorothy called back as we were taxiing. "Catherine, I walked past your house. There are bars on your bedroom window. And..." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "There's a padlock on your bedroom door. On the outside." The world tilted. "Call the police." "I can't do that. Michael is your son. I'm sure there's an explanation." "Dorothy, please." "I'm sorry, Catherine. This is a family matter. I can't get involved." She hung up. I took an Uber straight from Logan Airport. my suitcase forgotten in baggage claim. The driver kept trying to make conversation, but all I could do was stare at my phone, at that Instagram photo that had accumulated 47 likes and comments full of heart emojis. Such a caring son. Lucky to have family that looks after you. Smart safety precautions. My house looked exactly as I'd left it. The garden was freshly weeded, Jennifer's work probably. The front door was unlocked. I stepped inside, and the familiar scent of home, lavender and old books, felt like a mockery. Michael? Jennifer? Silence. I climbed the stairs, my heart hammering against my ribs. My bedroom door, the door I'd never locked in 20 years, had an industrial padlock hanging from a newly installed latch. The kind of lock you'd see on a storage unit. The kind of lock designed to keep someone in. My hands were steady as I pulled out my phone and called a locksmith. I need someone immediately. I've been locked out of my bedroom. He arrived 40 minutes later, a heavy-set man named Frank, who looked at the lock and whistled low. "This is serious hardware, ma'am. You sure you want me to cut it?" "It's my house. My bedroom." "Yes." The bolt cutters made a sound like breaking bones. The door swung open and I stepped into a room that was mine but wasn't. The furniture was the same, my bed, my dresser, my reading chair by the window that now had bars across it like something from a psychiatric ward. But there were new additions. A camera mounted in the corner, its red light blinking. Another camera by the door. And on my nightstand, arranged like a still life, a collection of prescription bottles. I picked one up with shaking hands. Olanzapine, risperidone, haloperidol, antipsychotics. My name was on the labels. Prescriptions dated 2 weeks ago from a Dr. Harrison I'd never heard of. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Frank was standing in the doorway, his face troubled. I realized I was crying. "Can you take pictures? Of everything? The cameras? The medications? The bars?" He pulled out his phone. "Lady, I don't know what's going on here, but this doesn't look right. It's not right. It's not right at all." I heard the front door open. Footsteps on the stairs. Michael's voice. "Mom, what the hell are you doing home?" He appeared in the doorway. My son, my only child. 32 years old, a successful real estate attorney, wearing the navy suit I'd helped him pick out for his first court appearance. Behind him, Jennifer, with her Pinterest-perfect hair and her phone already recording. "What am I doing home? What are you doing to my bedroom?" Michael's face did something strange. A flicker of frustration, quickly smoothed into concern. "Mom, we talked about this. You agreed to the safety modifications after your episode." "What episode? I haven't had any episode." "The fall, Mom. When you hit your head and couldn't remember where you were. We found you wandering in the garden at 3 in the morning in your nightgown. That never happened. Dr. Harrison documented everything. You've been having delusions, paranoia. That's why we installed the cameras, to make sure you're safe when we're not here." I looked at Frank, who was backing slowly toward the door. "Don't you dare leave," I said. "You're a witness to this." "A witness to what?" Michael stepped fully into the room, his voice taking on that dangerous calm I remembered from when he was a teenager caught in a lie. "A witness to us trying to help you. Mom, you're not well. The sooner you accept that, the sooner we can get you the treatment you need." Jennifer was still recording, her face a mask of sympathetic concern. For her Instagram followers, probably. For the narrative they were building. "Show me the medical records," I said. "Show me documentation of this fall, these episodes, any of it." "They're with Dr. Harrison. We can schedule an appointment." "No. Show me now. Show me proof that any of this is real." Michael exchanged a glance with Jennifer. In that split second, I saw it. The calculation, the brief flash of panic. They didn't have proof because there was no proof. This was a lie, built from nothing, and I'd almost missed the crack in the foundation. "Frank," I said quietly, "please call the police." "Mom, don't do this. Don't make this harder than it has to be." "Harder than what, exactly? Harder than you trying to have me declared incompetent? Harder than you installing prison bars on my windows?" My voice was rising, 30 years of teacher voice coming out in full force. "Harder than you drugging me with antipsychotics for an illness I don't have." "Mrs. Morrison," Jennifer spoke for the first time, her voice honey-sweet. "We understand you're confused. That's part of the illness. But if you'll just calm down." "Don't you dare tell me to calm down. You posted a photo of my prison cell on Instagram like it was a home improvement project." Frank had his phone out. "Police are on their way, ma'am." Michael's face went white, then red. "You're making a huge mistake, Mother. When the doctors confirm your diagnosis, when everyone sees how paranoid and unstable you are, you're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not seeing this coming." The police arrived. 2 officers, one young and clearly uncomfortable, one older with tired eyes that had seen too much. I showed them everything: the bars, the cameras, the medications prescribed by a doctor I'd never seen. Frank corroborated my story. I showed them my phone, my calendar, my clean bill of health from my last physical 3 months ago. Michael showed them a stack of papers, medical records, he claimed, documenting my deteriorating mental state. But when Officer Martinez started reading them, his eyebrows rose. "These aren't signed by any doctor. These are printed forms with handwritten notes. And this prescription..." He held up one of the bottles. "This isn't a valid prescription. The DEA number doesn't match the format." I watched my son's face crumble, watched Jennifer's phone slip from her hand. "You faked medical records," I said softly. "You faked prescriptions. You were going to drug me and lock me in my room and tell everyone I was insane." "The house," Michael said suddenly. "Your house. You promised you'd leave it to me, but then you said you might sell it, move to a condo. We couldn't." He stopped, but the truth was already out there, hanging in the air between us like smoke. "You couldn't let me sell my own house. So you decided to have me declared incompetent and committed. How long have you been planning this?" Jennifer was crying now, real tears, not the Instagram kind. "It was supposed to be simple. A few weeks in a facility, just long enough to get power of attorney. We didn't want to hurt you. You put bars on my windows." The older officer, Martinez, was already calling for backup. "Mr. Morrison, Ms. Morrison, you're going to need to come with us. We need to have a longer conversation about fraud, forgery, and attempted false imprisonment." I watched them being led away in handcuffs. My son and his wife, the people I'd welcomed into my family, the people I'd trusted with my spare key and my love. Michael looked back once, and the expression on his face wasn't remorse. It was frustration, anger that his plan had failed. The house felt too quiet after everyone left. Frank had refused payment for the locksmith service. "On the house," he'd said gruffly. "And ma'am, change all your locks, every single one." I sat in my reading chair by the window with the bars that would be removed tomorrow by a different contractor, and looked out at my garden. The roses needed deadheading. The hydrangeas were beginning their late summer bloom. Everything looked exactly as it should, except nothing would ever be exactly the same. My phone rang. My sister Emma, calling from Seattle. "Catherine? I just saw Jennifer's Instagram post. What the hell is going on?" I started laughing. Couldn't help it. The kind of laughter that borders on hysterical, that comes when the alternative is screaming. "Emma," I said, "you're not going to believe what just happened." The legal process took 6 months. Michael and Jennifer were charged with conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted false imprisonment, and forgery. The DA was particularly interested in the fake prescriptions that added federal charges. They pleaded out eventually, got probation and community service because Michael's lawyer was excellent, and because I, despite everything, told the judge I didn't want my son to go to prison. But I did want him out of my life. The divorce, because that's what it felt like, divorcing your own child, was brutal. Family members took sides. His father, my ex-husband Richard, actually called to tell me I was overreacting, that Michael had just made a mistake in judgment. Dorothy, my neighbor, stopped making eye contact when I checked my mail. But others rallied. Emma flew out and stayed for 2 weeks, helping me install new locks, accompanying me to therapy, sitting with me on the hard nights when I couldn't stop replaying everything, looking for the signs I'd missed. My former teaching colleagues organized a dinner, showed up with wine and stories, reminded me who I was beyond Michael's mother. Dr. Chen, my actual doctor, was horrified when I showed her the fake medical records. She helped me get documentation of my clean mental health history, helped me understand that what had happened wasn't about me being gullible or blind. It was about 2 people who'd made a calculated sociopathic decision. Some people, she said gently, can convince themselves that any action is justified if they want something badly enough. Your son wanted your house. He convinced himself that made this okay. The bars came down. The cameras were removed. I burned sage in every corner of that bedroom. A ritual that my therapist said wasn't scientifically proven to do anything, but that made me feel like I was reclaiming my space anyway. I kept the padlock, though. Kept it on my dresser as a reminder. 3 months after the legal proceedings ended, I sold the house. Not because Michael and Jennifer wanted me to. God, the irony. But because I wanted to. Because every room held memories I no longer wanted to live with. Because the garden, beautiful as it was, couldn't make up for the fact that I'd been betrayed in the place I was supposed to be safest. I bought a condo in Cambridge near Harvard Square. Smaller, but mine. Truly mine. On a whim, I got a dog. A rescue beagle named Scout who barks at squirrels and sleeps at the foot of my bed and reminds me every day that trust is still possible. I started teaching, again part-time, at a community center. Adult education classes, immigrant students learning English, retirees wanting to read Shakespeare, people rebuilding their lives who understood that sometimes you have to start over. One of my students, a widow named Ruth, asked me once why I smiled so much in class. Because, I told her, I'm exactly where I choose to be. No one put me here. No one controls whether I stay. It's all mine. Jennifer deleted her Instagram account. Last I heard, she and Michael moved to Denver. He lost his license to practice law for 18 months due to the forgery charges. They sent a Christmas card last year. We're sorry for everything. We hope you can forgive us someday. I didn't respond. Maybe someday I will. But forgiveness, I've learned, doesn't mean letting people back into your life. It means releasing the anger that keeps you chained to them. And I'm working on that. Some days are harder than others. What I know now, what I wish I'd understood sooner, is that family isn't defined by blood or obligation. It's defined by who shows up when you're trapped behind locked doors. It's Emma flying across the country. It's Frank the locksmith taking photos. It's Officer Martinez reading fake prescriptions carefully enough to notice they were wrong. It's Scout the beagle, pressed against my leg during thunderstorms. On my fridge, I keep one of Jennifer's Instagram comments, printed out. Someone had written, "Lucky to have family that looks after you." I keep it there as a reminder that looking after someone and imprisoning them can look identical from the outside. The difference is in who holds the key. I hold my own keys now. all of them, and I'm never giving them away again.